Well, let's move over to France and, all hell breaking loose over there in Paris. Because, of course, the government decided that they were going to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. So thousands of people out on the streets, as you can see here, the tear gas flowing, reminiscent of scenes we saw with Yellow Vest, but actually probably more people out this time. We've got some more footage here from later on in the evening. When it's dark and the fire's burning and so on. So protesters clashing with police and so on, fires lit in the streets, including the Place de la Concorde. Police with batons and shields firing tear gas and so on, 120 people arrested. It wasn't just happening in Paris, it was happening in other cities around France as well. The unions have said that they're going to continue their opposition to the pension changes. But here's the problem. Here is the French Prime Minister, Elisabeth Borne. I invoke Article 49.3 of the French Constitution. What did this allow her to do? Well, let's see. Now, Le Monde reported Article 49.3 back in October last year. They updated it yesterday because of obviously what's happened. But this is what they had to say. Paragraph 3 of Article 49 allows the Prime Minister, after deliberation by the Council of Ministers, to force a bill through the Assemblée Nationale with no vote. So legislation gets passed without a vote in the Parliament. The only alternative to prevent the bill from passing is then to overthrow the government. So how do you do that? Well, you've got to put a no confidence motion in within 24 hours, and if a majority vote is obtained, the law is rejected and the government collapses. Because a part of this requirement for a no confidence motion is that there is effectively the Parliament falls. There's no more Parliament. You have to call a general election. And so it's actually extremely difficult to pass this no confidence vote if necessary. The next logical move, says Le Monde, would be for the President to dissolve the Assembly and call early elections. If the motion of no confidence is rejected, the government wins the gamble. The law is passed. So this clause of the Constitution was invoked yesterday. This was the response in the French Parliament. So protests from the opposition parties in the French Parliament. Marine Le Pen then got up and made a statement to the press, basically saying that she intended to bring a motion of no confidence today. We have to wait and see.
And demanding Elizabeth Warren resign.
Yes.
The Prime Minister as well. So this is opportunity. This is the one opportunity to get rid of Emmanuel Macron that a lot of people have been waiting for. But will they be able to pull this one off? That's the question.
Yes. Vanessa, you've got close ties to France. You lived there for many years. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because we're going to talk about President Assad's visit to Moscow shortly. But I was just thinking then this opportunity for the opposition to basically secure the vote of no confidence in Macron's regime. And of course, Macron's regime has the hangers-on who have sustained the sanctions and the hybrid war against Syria, like Nathalie Loiseau, who was responsible for calling for personal sanctions against me after I witnessed the Donbass referendum. So, I mean, it's extraordinary when you look at the chaos that is unraveling in the West, both domestically, economically, militarily, etc. And then you look at what's happening in the East. And again, as I said, we're going to talk about that. But on one side, you have the building of global stability and security from every perspective. And then in the West, you have this complete descent into chaos.
Yes, indeed. So in the meantime, protests in Israel as well continue to expand.
Yeah, and just on the French issue, one point is one of the main problems with the overhauling the pension
Yes.
system. So the new rules, you have to work 43 years to draw a full state pension.
Yeah.
So they're really tightening a lot of these things. So this is where the protests you're seeing now, I think, are much more vociferous even than the yellow vests in terms of how intense it is in such a short period of time. So you could see a real change happening in France. This would be the opportunity for that to happen, but we'll keep our eyes on it.
Absolutely. But Israel?
So same type of thing happening in Israel. There's talk of a civil war in Israel, and what's this all about? So we'll see how this shakes out. But what the president here, or the Prime Minister Netanyahu, has done by putting together this far-right ultra-nationalist, ethno-nationalist coalition, and now basically doing an end run around Israeli democracy by passing a decree where you only need a majority, simple majority, in Parliament to basically say, pass and do anything. So people are really concerned now, and even former allies of Netanyahu are basically saying foreign leaders should not allow Netanyahu to come and visit. They're basically saying there's people out in the street right now in Israel, and so here's a former, I believe, former PM. He was PM for a few years, Ehud Olmert, and he's basically urging world leaders to shun Netanyahu. So critics say the judicial overhaul in the country will upend the country's system of checks and balances and would give the prime minister way too much power. So a lot of people are scared now, but Netanyahu's turned into this monster that everyone suspected that he would become, and he's really showing it now. So it's really divided Israeli society, which I think is really interesting, because there was already that division from COVID and the protests against the vaccine mandates. So the instability within Israeli politics and society is going to be something to watch.
Yeah. Okay. If you like what the UK Column does, you'd like to support us, please head over to community.ukcolumn.org. There are options for you to help us out there, and that would be very much appreciated. You could pick something up at the UK Column shop as an alternative, but please do share material you find on the various platforms. And I just want to mention that the Electronic Frontier Foundation has a campaign running at the moment about the online safety bill. Tell the House of Lords, protect end-to-end encryption in the online safety bill. What are they saying? The UK Parliament is moving forward with its online safety bill, which will undermine encryption. Only one of the things that it undermines. But anyway, Clause 110 mandates that websites and apps must proactively prevent harmful content from appearing on messaging services. This is going to lead to universal scanning of all user content all the time. It's not compatible with encryption or our right to privacy. As the online safety bill enters the House of Lords committee stage, tell peers to protect end-to-end encryption and the right to private messaging. And they provide various buttons on their page there for you to click and actually send messages to the relevant person. I just want to encourage everybody to get involved in that.
And do they say why everything needs to be scanned in real time? What's the main reason for it?
To make sure that harmful content is not appearing on messaging apps.
I see. So to catch it before it shows up.
To catch it before it shows up.
On the internet. So a little bit of pre-crime there.
Indeed. Let's move